They expect you to react. They crave your anger, your explanations, your desperate attempt to prove them wrong. That's the trap. Every word you waste becomes another weapon they use against you. But the moment you choose silence, the entire game changes. Your calm becomes their confusion. Your patience becomes their punishment. While they're busy creating chaos, you're building strength they cannot see. Some battles are never won with louder voices. They're won by refusing to play at all. So don't say a damn thing. Sit back, stay focused, and watch the truth expose every lie without you lifting a single finger. Most people believe strength is measured by how quickly you respond, how loudly you defend yourself, or how fiercely you fight back when someone challenges your character. They assume that silence means surrender, weakness, or fear. But reality works very differently. The strongest people in any room are often the ones who have mastered the ability to remain calm while everyone else loses control. They understand that every unnecessary reaction comes with a price. Every emotional outburst gives someone else a glimpse into your mind, your insecurities, and your limits. When people know what provokes you, they know exactly how to manipulate you. Silence removes that advantage completely. There are people who spend more time studying your reactions than improving their own lives. They throw insults, spread rumors, create misunderstandings, and wait patiently to see which move finally makes you break. The goal isn't always to defeat you directly. Sometimes their victory comes the moment they convince you to abandon your peace. If they can make you angry enough to act without thinking, they have already influenced your decisions. They don't need to be stronger than you if they can control your emotions. This is why emotional discipline is one of the greatest forms of power anyone can develop. Think about the moments when people expected you to explode. They anticipated an argument, a long explanation, or a desperate attempt to clear your name. They rehearsed their responses before you even spoke, because they believed they understood exactly how you would behave. Imagine their surprise when nothing happened. Imagine their frustration when they found only silence instead of conflict. Suddenly, the script they prepared became useless. The game they designed could not continue because one player refused to participate. That kind of silence is not empty. It is intentional. It is calculated. It shifts the balance without making a single sound. Many people underestimate how uncomfortable silence can be for those who thrive on drama. Noise gives them energy. Arguments give them purpose. Every emotional reaction reassures them that they still have influence over your life. But silence forces them to face uncertainty. They begin questioning themselves. They wonder whether their words had any impact. They replay every conversation in their minds, searching for evidence that they still matter. The less you react, the more they are left alone with their own thoughts. Often, that becomes a greater punishment than any argument you could have delivered. Remaining silent does not mean accepting disrespect. It means choosing your battles wisely. It means recognizing that not every accusation deserves an answer, and not every opinion deserves your attention. There is a difference between defending your dignity and wasting your energy. Wise people know that energy is limited. Every minute spent arguing with someone determined to misunderstand you is a minute stolen from your own growth. Your future deserves more attention than someone else's negativity. Silence also protects your vision. When your mind is consumed with proving yourself to critics, you lose focus on your own goals. Progress slows because your attention is divided. Successful people understand that focus is a priceless resource. They refuse to hand it over to people who contribute nothing to their journey. Instead of explaining themselves repeatedly, they invest that same energy into becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable. Eventually, their results speak louder than any defense ever could. Another reason silence carries so much power is that it preserves mystery. People are naturally curious about what they cannot easily understand. When you constantly explain every decision, every feeling, and every setback, you reveal the entire map of your life. But when you move quietly with confidence, others are left guessing. They cannot predict your next move because you have stopped giving away your strategy. This uncertainty makes your actions far more impactful than endless conversations ever will. There will always be moments when your pride demands a response. Your emotions will whisper that staying silent allows others to believe they have won. That feeling is temporary. Real victory is not measured by who had the last word. It is measured by who maintained control over themselves. Losing control to satisfy your ego is still a loss, no matter how clever your response sounds. Mastering yourself is far more valuable than defeating someone in an argument. Over time, silence builds a reputation that cannot be manufactured. People begin noticing that you are not easily shaken. They realize you cannot be baited into pointless conflicts. They understand that your attention must be earned, not demanded. This changes the way people approach you because they recognize that emotional manipulation no longer works. Respect often grows where unnecessary reactions disappear, and confidence becomes visible without needing constant validation. There are people who never wanted your success to begin with. They were comfortable as long as you stayed quiet, uncertain, and invisible. But the moment you started growing, improving, or attracting opportunities, something changed inside them. Suddenly, your progress became a problem they felt compelled to solve. Instead of focusing on their own path, they shifted their attention towards slowing yours. They believed that if they could distract you, frustrate you, or provoke you into making emotional decisions, your momentum would disappear. Their greatest hope was never to outwork you. Their strategy was to make you work against yourself. Every reaction you give becomes information. Every emotional response teaches people exactly where your weak points are. If someone discovers that criticism makes you defensive, they will criticize you more. If they notice that disrespect makes you lose your composure, they will continue disrespecting you. If they realize that gossip forces you to explain yourself, they will create even more rumors. Manipulative people survive by collecting emotional patterns. They are less interested in the truth than they are in discovering which buttons produce the strongest reaction. This is why some individuals seem relentless. They are not necessarily powerful. They are simply patient enough to keep testing different approaches until they find one that affects you. One day it may be subtle sarcasm. The next day it becomes public criticism. Later, it turns into exclusion, false assumptions, or deliberate misunderstandings. They are constantly experimenting, hoping something finally cracks your confidence. The moment they see frustration on your face, they know they have found an opening. What they truly want is not an explanation. They already decided what they want to believe. They are not searching for clarity because confusion benefits them. What they want is your emotional investment. They want your attention, your energy, and your time. Every minute you spend defending yourself is a minute you are not investing in your future. Every sleepless night spent replaying their words is another victory they never had to earn. The battle becomes easier for them because you begin fighting yourself. Think about how often people regret reacting emotionally. Rarely does anyone look back and say they wish they had argued longer or shouted louder. More often, they wish they had remained calm. They wish they had walked away before anger took control. They wish they had recognized the trap before stepping directly into it. Emotional reactions usually provide temporary satisfaction, but create lasting consequences. A few moments of uncontrolled emotion can damage relationships, reputations, opportunities, and peace that took years to build. People who provoke others understand something important about human nature. They know emotions spread quickly. One angry response often creates another. One insult invites a second. Before long, both sides forget the original issue because the conflict has taken on a life of its own. The situation becomes about winning instead of understanding. In that environment, nobody truly wins. Everyone loses something valuable, whether it is credibility, trust, or self-respect. The strongest response is often refusing to participate in a game designed for your failure, that requires discipline because your instincts will tell you to defend your name immediately. Pride will insist that silence looks like defeat, but discipline understands something pride ignores. Not every accusation deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Some people are disappointed when they cannot control your emotions because your calm forces them to confront their own behavior instead. Remaining composed also protects your decision-making. Strong emotions narrow your perspective. They encourage impulsive choices that feel justified in the moment, but become obvious mistakes later. Calmness expands your thinking. It allows you to recognize hidden motives, consider long-term consequences, and respond with wisdom instead of impulse. That difference alone can completely change the direction of your life. Another reason people seek your reaction is because they mistake your confidence for arrogance. They cannot understand how someone can remain peaceful without seeking constant approval. Your independence unsettles them because it reminds them of the approval they still chase. Instead of asking how you became so grounded, they try to pull you back into emotional chaos where everyone feels equally unstable. If they cannot reach your level of peace, they hope to disturb it. True confidence is not loud. It does not announce itself or demand recognition. It simply refuses to be controlled by outside circumstances. It understands that self-worth does not depend on applause, agreement, or public opinion. The opinions of others rise and fall like the weather, but inner stability remains steady when it is built on discipline rather than emotion. Every time you refuse to react impulsively, you strengthen your self-control. Every situation you handle with patience increases your emotional resilience. Over time, people begin noticing that their usual tactics no longer affect you. The comments become quieter. The provocations lose intensity. The attempts to distract you become less frequent because those who sought your reaction eventually realize they are wasting their effort on someone who has learned the value of protecting their peace, their purpose, and their power. One of the hardest lessons in life is accepting that not every battle requires your hands. We are taught from an early age that justice only happens when we fight for it, argue for it, or force others to recognize the truth. But life has a strange way of exposing people without your assistance. Lies have an expiration date. Deception demands constant maintenance. Pretending to be someone you are not requires endless effort, while truth simply waits. That is why patience often becomes one of the most powerful weapons a person can possess. Many people become exhausted because they spend too much time trying to prove their innocence to those who never intended to believe them. They collect evidence, explain every detail, defend every decision, and replay every conversation, hoping someone will finally understand. But there are individuals who are committed to misunderstanding you because their version of the story benefits them. No amount of explanation can convince someone who profits from believing the opposite. The more you argue, the more trapped you become in a cycle that never truly ends. There is incredible strength in allowing your actions to speak over your words. Words can be questioned, twisted, or taken out of context. Actions leave patterns that become impossible to ignore over time. Anyone can make promises, anyone can create convincing excuses, but consistency reveals character in ways that speeches never can. When your behavior remains steady despite criticism, people eventually notice the difference between those who constantly talk and those who quietly produce results. Patience is often misunderstood because people confuse it with passivity. They assume patient people are simply waiting for life to improve on its own. Real patience is much more active than that. It means continuing to build your future while refusing to become distracted by temporary chaos. It means investing in your own growth while others waste their energy creating conflict. It means understanding that every minute spent improving yourself produces greater rewards than every minute spent trying to defeat someone else's negativity. Those who seek to damage your reputation usually expect immediate resistance. They prepare themselves for confrontation because confrontation gives them another opportunity to create confusion. When you remain focused instead, something unexpected happens. They begin carrying the full weight of their own actions. Without your participation, they are left explaining themselves. They continue creating stories while you continue creating progress. Eventually, observers begin noticing who is obsessed with drama and who is committed to purpose. Life has a way of revealing intentions through repetition. Someone may deceive others once or twice, but maintaining deception becomes increasingly difficult. Contradictions begin appearing. Stories stop matching. Promises remain unfulfilled. The image they carefully created starts developing cracks. They become responsible for protecting every lie they have ever told. Meanwhile, truth requires no maintenance because it remains the same regardless of who is watching. This is why emotional restraint is so valuable. The moment you react impulsively, attention shifts away from the original issue and toward your response. Suddenly, people stop discussing what actually happened and start discussing how you behaved. Those who created the problem benefit because the focus moves away from their actions. Remaining calm prevents that shift. It keeps the spotlight where it belongs instead of allowing emotions to rewrite the narrative. Another overlooked truth is that time reveals priorities. People who genuinely care about honesty continue searching for facts. People who only enjoy conflict quickly lose interest once they stop receiving emotional entertainment. By refusing to feed unnecessary drama, you naturally separate those who value truth from those who simply enjoy watching arguments unfold. Silence becomes a filter that exposes people's true motives without requiring you to investigate them yourself. Your greatest responsibility is protecting your own direction. Every distraction carries an opportunity cost. Every unnecessary argument steals attention that could have been invested in learning, creating, improving, or building meaningful relationships. Success is rarely destroyed by one major event. More often, it is weakened by hundreds of small distractions that slowly pull your focus away from what truly matters. Choosing patience is choosing to protect your future from those constant interruptions. There will be moments when justice feels delayed. You may wonder why dishonest people appear to succeed while genuine people struggle. Those moments test your character more than your circumstances. It is tempting to believe that shortcuts are the only way forward when you see others benefiting from manipulation. But temporary victories built on deception rarely remain stable. Anything built on false foundations eventually begins collapsing under its own weight. The people who continue growing despite criticism usually understand one important principle. Their purpose is greater than their pride. They care more about reaching their destination than winning every argument along the way. That mindset allows them to remain steady when others become emotional. Instead of chasing revenge, they chase excellence. Instead of demanding immediate validation, they keep building a life that eventually becomes impossible to ignore. Their patience is not based on weakness or fear, but on the quiet confidence that truth, consistency, and disciplined action always outlast noise, manipulation, and temporary victories built on illusion. There is something remarkable about time that most people fail to appreciate. It has a way of uncovering what emotions try to hide. In the heat of a conflict, lies can seem believable, false accusations can sound convincing, and people with the loudest voices often appear to be telling the truth. But noise has a short lifespan. Eventually, emotions settle, circumstances change, and reality begins revealing itself piece by piece. What was once hidden slowly comes into the light without anyone forcing it. This is why patience is far more powerful than panic. The truth rarely needs to rush because it is not afraid of being discovered. Many people become trapped in the desperate need to correct every misunderstanding immediately. They fear that if they stay silent, others will accept the false story forever. That fear pushes them into endless explanations, emotional confrontations, and exhausting attempts to defend every detail of their lives. But there is a problem with constantly defending yourself. The more you chase approval, the more people believe you need it. Confidence does not beg for acceptance. It trusts that character reveals itself through consistency, not endless speeches. The people who spread negativity often believe they can control the narrative forever. They assume that if they repeat something enough times, it will become permanent truth. They underestimate one important fact. Lies require maintenance. Every false story must be protected by another false story. Every deception creates another detail that must be remembered. Eventually, the weight becomes too heavy. Contradictions appear. Mistakes happen. Details stop matching. The very people who once defended the lie begin noticing the inconsistencies because deception becomes increasingly difficult to sustain over time. Meanwhile, those who remain focused on their purpose continue moving forward. They are not wasting valuable energy tracking every rumor or responding to every criticism. They understand that their greatest responsibility is not controlling other people's opinions, but controlling their own actions. Every day they invest in disciplined growth, and self-improvement becomes another piece of evidence that speaks louder than words ever could. While others remain occupied with creating distractions, they quietly build a future that cannot be denied. There is also something revealing about pressure. Difficult situations expose qualities that comfort often hides. When everything is easy, almost anyone can appear kind, loyal, and trustworthy. But challenges reveal true character. Pressure exposes who remains honest when dishonesty seems profitable. It reveals who stays loyal when betrayal offers an advantage. It uncovers who remains respectful even when emotions run high. These moments cannot be faked forever because genuine character always shows itself when circumstances become difficult. People who operate through manipulation usually depend on emotional reactions from others. They rely on confusion because clarity threatens their influence. When you refuse to contribute to unnecessary drama, you remove the environment where manipulation grows strongest. Without constant emotional fuel, many conflicts begin fading on their own. Those who created the chaos often become frustrated because their plans depended entirely on your participation. Your refusal to engage becomes stronger than any argument they expected to win. Patience also develops something that cannot be purchased or borrowed. It develops inner confidence. Every time you resist the urge to react impulsively, you prove to yourself that your emotions no longer control your decisions, that self-control strengthens with every challenge you overcome. Over time, your confidence stops depending on public opinion because you have built it through personal discipline instead of external validation. You become less concerned with who misunderstands you because you know your actions will eventually provide the answers your words never could. Another hidden advantage of patience is perspective. Emotional situations often appear much larger than they truly are. In the moment, Criticism feels permanent. Rejection feels unbearable. Betrayal feels impossible to recover from. Yet months later, many of those same events become lessons rather than lifelong burdens. Time has a way of shrinking problems that once seemed overwhelming. The issues that demanded immediate reactions often lose their importance completely. Those who remained calm during the storm usually discover they protected themselves from mistakes that emotional decisions would have created. Your journey is too valuable to become permanently distracted by temporary opinions. Every person you meet will have a perspective shaped by their own experiences, beliefs, and emotions. You cannot control every conclusion they reach, nor should you waste your life trying. What you can control is the integrity of your own actions. You can choose honesty even when deception seems easier. You can choose discipline when distractions surround you. You can choose growth instead of resentment. Those choices create a reputation that becomes stronger with every passing year, because consistency has a way of outlasting criticism. The most satisfying victories are often the quiet ones. They do not require applause, public recognition, or dramatic confrontations. They happen when people who once doubted you begin noticing the undeniable results of your persistence. They happen when those who underestimated your resilience realize that every obstacle only made you stronger. They happen when the truth finally stands on its own, requiring no defense because your character, your discipline, and your unwavering commitment to your purpose have already spoken louder than every accusation ever could. One of the greatest mistakes people make is allowing someone else's behavior to determine the direction of their own life. The moment you become consumed by proving people wrong, chasing revenge, or constantly watching those who oppose you, you slowly hand them control over your future. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Wherever it goes, your energy follows. If your focus remains trapped in conflict, your progress begins to slow. If your focus remains fixed on your purpose, your life continues moving forward regardless of who is trying to distract you. Every successful person eventually learns that distractions rarely arrive looking like distractions. They often appear as opportunities to defend yourself, respond to criticism, settle old scores, or prove your worth to people who never intended to recognize it. At first, those situations feel important. They convince you that your reputation depends on immediate action. But over time, you begin realizing that most of these battles produce nothing except exhaustion. They steal your time without improving your future. They drain your energy without increasing your wisdom. They keep you emotionally occupied while life continues moving ahead. Growth demands concentration, whether you are building a career, strengthening relationships, improving your health, or developing your character. Progress requires consistent effort over long periods. Every interruption delays that progress. This is why disciplined people become extremely selective about what deserves their attention. They understand that saying yes to unnecessary conflict often means saying no to meaningful opportunities. Every hour spent arguing is an hour that could have been invested in learning a new skill, creating something valuable, or taking another step toward a meaningful goal. There will always be people who question your decisions because they do not understand your vision. Some will criticize the pace of your progress. Others will laugh at your ambitions before they become reality. A few may even hope you abandon your dreams entirely because your determination reminds them of the goals they abandoned long ago. None of these opinions change the value of your journey. Their doubts cannot stop your progress unless you decide to carry them with you. Imagine climbing a mountain while constantly looking over your shoulder at everyone standing below. Every glance backward slows your ascent. Every unnecessary conversation delays another step upward. Meanwhile, the summit remains exactly where it has always been, waiting for those willing to keep climbing despite distractions. Success follows the same principle. It belongs to those who continue moving even when applause is absent and criticism is abundant. Your peace becomes stronger when your priorities become clear. Once you know exactly what matters most, countless smaller issues lose their ability to disturb you. An insult no longer feels like an emergency. Gossip no longer demands an immediate response. Temporary setbacks no longer convince you to quit. You begin viewing obstacles as brief interruptions rather than permanent barriers. That shift in perspective changes everything because your emotions stop controlling your decisions. Many people mistakenly believe that confidence comes from defeating others. In reality, lasting confidence comes from keeping promises you make to yourself. Every morning you choose discipline over excuses, confidence grows. Every goal you continue pursuing despite setbacks strengthens your belief in yourself. Every challenge you survive becomes proof that you are capable of handling the next one. This type of confidence cannot be taken away by criticism because it was never built on other people's approval in the first place. Another important truth is that comparison quietly destroys focus. The moment you become obsessed with watching what others are doing, you begin neglecting what you should be doing. Someone else's progress is not your competition. Someone else's opinion is not your identity. Someone else's negativity is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is becoming a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. That mission alone provides more than enough work for a lifetime. The strongest individuals often appear quiet because they understand where real battles are fought. The greatest victories happen within the mind. They happen when fear loses its influence. They happen when doubt no longer dictates decisions. They happen when discipline becomes stronger than temporary emotions. Those internal victories eventually create external success, because every meaningful achievement begins with mastering yourself before attempting to influence the world around you. As you continue growing, some people will naturally drift away. Others will misunderstand your silence and interpret your focus as distance. That is part of personal development. Not everyone is meant to travel every stage of your journey with you. Some relationships exist only for certain seasons, while your purpose continues beyond them. Accepting that reality allows you to move forward without unnecessary guilt or resentment. Keep your eyes on the life you are creating instead of the noise surrounding you. Let your habits become stronger than your distractions. Let your discipline become louder than criticism. Every step you take toward wisdom, integrity, and excellence creates a future that no amount of negativity can prevent, because a focused mind always travels farther than one constantly pulled in every direction by people who have forgotten to pursue their own dreams. There comes a moment when you realize that forcing outcomes only creates frustration. The harder you try to control every opinion, every situation, and every person's behavior, the more exhausted you become. Life was never designed to place that burden on your shoulders. Some things require effort, but others require trust. Wisdom is knowing the difference. There is incredible strength in recognizing when your job is to keep moving forward while allowing time to handle everything else. The need to control every detail often comes from fear, but confidence grows when you understand that not every answer has to arrive immediately. Many people mistake constant action for progress. They believe they must always be responding, correcting, explaining, or defending themselves. They fear that stillness will cause them to lose ground. Yet some of the greatest victories happen when you stop interfering with what is naturally unfolding. A seed does not become a tree because someone digs it up every day to check its progress. It grows because it is given time, consistency, and the right environment. Your goals follow the same principle. Once you have planted the right habits and committed yourself to disciplined action, Patience becomes just as important as effort. There will always be moments when you feel tempted to interrupt the process. You will wonder whether you should send one more message, argue one more point, or fight one more battle. In those moments, ask yourself whether your next action is driven by wisdom or by emotion. Emotions seek immediate relief. Wisdom seeks lasting results. The difference between the two often determines whether you move closer to your purpose or farther away from it. People who constantly create conflict rarely expect someone to remain calm. They prepare themselves for resistance because resistance keeps the conflict alive. It gives them something to react to and something to build upon. But when you refuse to become emotionally involved, the momentum begins disappearing. They are left carrying the conversation by themselves. Without your participation, the drama starts collapsing under its own weight because conflict requires more than one willing participant to survive. This does not mean becoming passive or ignoring genuine problem. It means recognizing that every situation deserves a different response. Some challenges require direct action. Others require strategic patience. Learning to distinguish between the two is one of the clearest signs of maturity. Not every invitation deserves acceptance, and not every disagreement deserves your attention. Some doors remain closed because opening them would only lead to more unnecessary confusion. Trusting the process also means trusting your own preparation. If you have worked hard, stayed disciplined, and continued improving yourself, then your efforts are already creating results beneath the surface. Growth often remains invisible before it becomes obvious. Just because you cannot see immediate change does not mean nothing is happening. Mountains are shaped slowly, rivers carved through stone gradually. Lasting success follows the same pattern. The strongest foundations are rarely built overnight. One reason people abandon their path too early is because they compare their behind-the-scenes effort with someone else's public success. They see finished results, but ignore the years of unseen discipline that created them. This comparison creates unnecessary pressure and impatience. Your journey has its own timing. Your responsibility is not to match someone else's schedule, but to remain faithful to your own purpose. Every meaningful accomplishment requires persistence long before it receives recognition. As your confidence grows, you become less interested in proving yourself. You no longer feel the need to announce every plan or explain every decision. You understand that genuine progress speaks with undeniable clarity. Instead of seeking validation before taking action, you allow your actions to become the validation. Quiet consistency often achieves what loud promises never can. Those who doubted you eventually notice the results because excellence becomes difficult to ignore. There is also freedom in releasing the need for perfect timing. Many people postpone their dreams while waiting for ideal conditions that never arrive. They believe they must have complete certainty before moving forward. In reality, confidence is built through movement, not before it. Every step teaches you something the previous step could not. Every challenge develops abilities that comfort never produces. Waiting forever guarantees nothing except missed opportunities. Eventually, you discover that peace comes from focusing on what belongs within your control. Your character belongs to you. Your choices belong to you. Your discipline belongs to you. Your mindset belongs to you. Other people's opinions, expectations, and reactions belong to them. Once you separate those responsibilities, life becomes much lighter. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours to begin with. Sit back does not mean giving up. It means refusing to chase what is already moving toward its natural conclusion. Watch everything unfold does not mean becoming careless. It means staying committed to your values while allowing truth, consistency, and time to reveal what frantic effort never could. The strongest people are not those who control everyone around them, but those who remain steady while circumstances change, trusting that disciplined action, unwavering patience, and quiet confidence will always accomplish far more than fear, panic, or endless reaction ever could.